Hello and welcome to Sports Bar. I'm your host, Travis Stanley, with your panelists Braxton, Greg, and Sam. We're glad you've joined us for another episode, but before we get started, we would like to congratulate Greg on a new addition to his Cardinal family. Greg and his family are expecting a new baby girl, and we wanted to extend our congratulations to him and his family. And it looks like we have the perfect outfit for her as well.
Nice.
Definitely starting off in the right spirit. I know you're a Cardinals fan. So
right. Correct jersey for sure.
Yeah, correct jersey. But moving on to sports. This past weekend, the Mountaineers took on Georgia State for their annual Black Saturday game. And guys, you know, in a game where the offense at times was kind of sluggish, Greg, Jalen Moore was still just what you might expect.
Absolutely. I think the offensive line, I really liked what I saw there. They were creating openings you could drive a car through, and they just kept giving Moore the ball, and he did what Moore does best, running it.
Exactly.
So it was that part was definitely pretty impressive to see.
Definitely. And Braxton, I mean, you know, the defense for the Mountaineers played equally well during that period where the offense was, you know, kind of not picking up the slack.
Sure, they had to. Being 0-0 at halftime, defense had to step up and do a little something, and it really showed. Connor Manning's QBR at the end of the game was 17.7. So anytime, no matter the quarterback, you can hold him to 17.7 QBR, you know you're doing something right. And the running back, Kyler Neal, was 12 carries for 46 yards, 0 touchdowns. Less than 50 yards is pretty impressive. Mm-hmm. You know, they're carrying the ball a little more, like you said earlier, this year, but wow, App State's defense really did hold up pretty well, and we needed it to. Really did.
Yeah, exactly. Sam, your thoughts on the game?
Well, I thought it was a good way to, you know, back up the win from last week at Akron. But what it looked like to me, with the sluggishness of the offense, granted the defense did step up when we needed them to, it looked like we maybe planned our strategy around them being 0-3, you know, not taking into account the games that they played, maybe against the opponents that they played. Maybe we underestimated them a little bit, and that's what it seemed, at least in the first half. I think Coach Satterfield really did a good job of getting them back into the game in the second half, but it looked like we kind of underestimated them when we went into the game.
It was an 0-3 Georgia State team that played Wisconsin very well the week previous.
It looks like they've gotten a lot better from last year. They were last year when we played them, we won 31-3.
Right.
Yeah.
So 17-3, they've gotten a lot better, especially defensively. They've gotten a lot better.
And the weather was certainly better this year than the last time we played them at the Rock. It was, I think, 45-0 was the score, and it was just we deemed it the Snow Bowl of 2015. That game, or 2014, excuse me. That game was miserable, and in all accounts, as someone who had to work that game. But definitely a good win for the Apps on that day. But moving on, every week we love to have highlights from around the campus, and this week in our Mountaineer Spotlight we took a look at our men's basketball team. One of our panelists, Braxton, decided to ask them a few questions about what it's like to be an App State basketball player. Check it out.
Hello everyone, this is Braxton Critter with this week's edition of Mountaineer Spotlight. I'm here with Matt O'Boyle and Pat Good, two varsity basketball players on the ASU basketball team. Pat's a freshman, and Matt is a senior. We're here to get to know them a little better. First of all, guys, first question I want to ask you is, what's your major?
My major is criminal justice.
You got a minor or just a major?
No, just a major.
Criminal justice, cool.
Yes, sir.
What about you, Pat?
Sports management and minor in business.
Cool. All right, great. And senior freshman. So, first question. So how many times a week do you guys practice?
Well, during the season, we'll go 6 times a week, and it's pretty intense, you know, 2.5 hours every practice, so we're in the gym a lot.
Is that a Monday through Saturday?
It depends. Usually, I think this year we're going to have more Tuesdays off, just with how the schedule is, playing on Saturday and Monday. Mm-hmm. Usually, last year we had Sundays off, so it's a little different this year.
So, for Pat here, what is the biggest difference you've seen so far from transitioning from high school to the college level athletics?
First, the speed. Everybody's just quicker and more athletic. Obviously, being the size that I am, I have to use my IQ to do the things that the taller and quicker players can do. So I'm getting adjusted to that, and I'm maturing on and off the court, which has really helped. So.
I heard you guys took a summer trip to Italy. Did both of you guys go on the trip?
Yeah, we did.
This is both for you. So Matt, you go first. Tell me a little about the trip and what you did.
The trip was an amazing experience. We got a lot of good work out of there. We played some really good teams. We enjoyed ourselves. We had a lot of fun things to do. We went out to the lake. We went on top of the mountains and the Alps, and it was great team bonding, great experience. We got some games under our belt, so it was all around great experience.
So basically, just a tournament type deal.
No, it was more of we had some set games with some professional teams that we were in contact with. So
sort of like a summer league.
Yeah, you could say that. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I guess there's a chemistry building type for you guys. Great.
Absolutely.
So Pat, on the Italy trip, I guess that was one of your first experiences with the team.
Yeah, that's a great way to start off a college career, saying you've been to Italy, out the country. But it was everybody's first time playing together, and I thought we played well, and we had some things that we need to build on, and I felt like we've taken advantage this summer, and we're ready for the season this year. So,
as of right now, what's the biggest game you're looking forward to? Like, what's the game you're circling on your calendar?
For me, I'd probably have to say Duke, just because that's everyone wants to go play at Duke. Yeah. It's legendary. It's so much history. It's it's just amazing experience. So I'm definitely looking forward to playing Duke.
Same for you, Pat? Is that Duke or something else?
Probably Duke in Tennessee, because that's where I'm from, Knoxville, and I have a couple of guys on that team that I know, and I'm familiar with that area, so that'll be a good homecoming. So, yeah.
So for Matt here, having played on the team last year, you transferred in, correct?
Yeah.
Okay, so this is your second year playing with the team. So for being the only senior on the team this year, what kind of perspective do you think you have on the season as it's getting underway?
It's different being a transfer, and then it's also different for only being here for 2 years and being a senior. Yeah. We have Jake Babick and Griff, who have been around here much longer, so they've been here a little bit longer than me, and I'm older, but we kind of have a similar experience, both being older, and it helps a lot having played 2 years prior. So not at the same level as Division I, but being here last year definitely helped me out with a lot of experience.
So Pat, being one of course, the younger ones on the team, are there any guys you're connecting with that are older, giving you some advice at this point in the season yet?
I would say all the guys. During practice, we switch up teams a lot, so you get to have chemistry with everybody, and I'm just taking in everything that they have to offer and adding it to my game, because obviously they've been through it. They've played in the college game before, which I haven't yet, and I'm just taking that in to be successful and bring what I can to the team. So
obviously App State is a football-type school, right? So why should fans, students come to watch your basketball games? Go with you.
I feel like we work hard. We support other teams, no matter who they're playing or what their record is, and I feel like they should come support us. The same thing, because we're a big family in the community. I've seen one of the slogans that says 20 teams, one family, and I think that all the teams should support each other. Everybody has a busy schedule, so there's really not an excuse for that. Right. So, making it to 1 or 2 games a year isn't bad, but if we had everybody every night, then I feel like it would give us motivation to keep playing harder and give us some motivation to win. So,
what about for you, Pat?
This year is going to be a breakout year for us. I know that. We've been working our ass off, and we've been working very hard, and the results are going to show. We're going to surprise a lot of people this year. We're going to shock a lot of people, so we're looking forward to it.
Great. All right, that's all we got for you guys tonight, but thanks for tuning in, and this is Matt Boyle and Patrick Good. Thank you.
Well, this past weekend, our women's volleyball team took on the University of Texas Arlington, and guys, we took them to 5 sets, but we did drop one to them. Braxton, I know you spoke with the coach just kind of about the pulse of the program right now. What was that experience like, and what did he say?
Well, Coach Ginnerpo just kind of gave it to me straight. He said, we're in a rut right now. Last year, they graduated 4 seniors, and of course, with any college program, that's tough. But 3 of those seniors were app greats, per se. They had a lot of really great years with the program. They were big leaders on the court, off the court. 3 of those 4 were just tough to lose. And then to go along with that, this year they've had 4 starters being out for injury.
Yeah.
They've got one of their better players, Ashton Gregory, come back just recently, but prior to that, they had 4 of the starters along with the 4 from last year. It's just that's basically your team. They've got a bright future. Coach Brent Ginnerpo says that, a lot of their younger freshmen and sophomores have got a bright future for the program, but
Definitely.
right now they're just having to deal with losing ways right now.
Yeah, but you did mention Gregory, and she was certainly a staple of the offense last year.
Yeah.
She was the SoCon Offensive Player of the Year the year previous to her transferring up here, and she was probably the star of the team. But like you said, there was several other very good role players on that squad as well that really hurt to lose. But
and Gregory was out to injury until just recently.
Until just recently. So, hopefully with her coming back and possibly the other players as well, they can build some momentum because, expectations entering last season were probably fairly low for volleyball, but they had an exceptional season. I think they started the season 13-0 before dropping their first one, and then conference play they played well but weren't able to win the conference title. But I personally was very looking forward to volleyball season this year, and it has somewhat been a letdown, but I'm hoping they can turn it around before this season is over. But coming back, we'll have a clip from the Rise program for this week right after this break.
You know what, guys? There's a lot of tree branches and dry brush over here. We should probably move the bonfire over there.
I'm guessing Smokey liked that idea.
Each week we show a small clip from a show we have here called Rise. This show is a great way to keep up with what the football team is up to. You can catch the entire episode of Rise right here on App TV and AppStateSports.com. Here is this week's sneak peek of the show.
Woodson back to throw, 1st and 10. There's the first deep ball, and it's intercepted. The Mountaineers step in front of the deep ball and pick it off. Clifton Duck stays on his feet up to the 35-yard line, and App State thwarts the first deep pass of the game for a turnover. 3rd and 2. Jalen Moore, 3rd straight carry, finds a hole, has the first down and more inside the 45. In motion, Hopkins to the backfield. Jet sweep. Hopkins turning the corner left to the 5. Goes to the end zone, and that's an App State touchdown for Deltron Hopkins. A 6-yard jet sweep, and the Mountaineers take the lead. 3rd and 18, Woodson to throw. Mountaineers bring pressure. Woodson escapes to the right, still on his feet. Mountaineers come to get him, and they finally bring him down. Caleb Fuller finally drops Woodson all the way back at the 44, and Akron will have to punt. Bunch receivers to the left. It's a screen pass out there to Watkins. TJ Watkins again getting more time on offense. 2nd and 19, Lamb play fake. Fires to the left. The pass is caught by Shea Metters in space. Stiff arms a man at the 30 and then dives forward to the 25 to pick up 18 yards. 34-yard attempt out of the hole to Bentley Critchard. There's the snap, ball down. Kick is on the way, and it's good.
We're going to take a quick break, and when we come back, the National Sports, our Fantasy Football League updates, and more. We'll be right back.
We are really pushing our students to think about things from a local to global standpoint, and I enjoy teaching those classes. It certainly cements everything that I believe in, that I think is important. I'm passionate about sustainability. I'm passionate about fresh water and protecting it. When you've got, the number of faculty that we do living that sustainable life, demonstrating to our students, they realize it's not just something we're saying in the classroom, it's in everything we do here. It's part of who we are.
Welcome back to Sports Bar. Time to talk our national sports. And first, we'll talk about the Panthers. And guys, it was a poor showing for the Panthers this week. And Sam, the Panthers really had no running game, no push from the front four, and Cam Newton might have a possible concussion now.
Yeah, it was just a sloppy game all around, I think. And I mean, that's kind of been the season we've had so far. And you know, you take a Panthers team, and you can consider, I think, our defense to be the best part of the game, the overall game. But I mean, the linebackers can only do so much when you have so many holes in your secondary going up against a team like the Falcons, who, although they haven't had the season they want, they've been putting up some pretty big numbers as well. And then you couple that with Matt Ryan and Julio Jones. I mean,
he had a monster game,
record day. So it just wasn't a great game. I mean, spelled disaster from the get-go. It kind of ended up being a shootout. No defense really on either side. I think Derek Anderson threw 2 interceptions. So, you know, not a good game all around.
Yeah. And Braxton and Greg, I wanted to ask you guys, you know, the Panthers having had such a good defense last year, I don't really quite understand. I mean, yes, K'Wan Short hasn't been able to play this year, and obviously they lost, you know, Josh Norman. But what exactly do you think this spells for them for the rest of the season?
I don't think it looks good. I think there definitely needs to be some conversation having there on what's going on defensively. I mean, this past game could have just been called Julio Jones the game, because the guy was all over the place, and they had no one on him. And at a certain point, when someone's carrying the ball that much, you've got to move around the pieces and say, what do we need to move in place to stop this guy? And that didn't happen yesterday.
No.
Yeah, the defense. If we're doing a panic meter type deal, I put as a whole team, I'd do 5. But defensively, they've got some serious problems. Everywhere you look, just like you said, nobody was covering Julio Jones, and even other receivers. There was times when there was a guy that was wide open, wasn't even a defender within 10 yards of him. You know, that's just not what the Panthers are about. They've always been quick to the ball. They've been that way for 3 years, and then for some reason this year it's just not happening. Something's not right.
Well, I really hope they can get the defense turned around, because if they can't, I totally agree. I think it'll be a long season and definitely a disappointing one after, you know, a run very deep in the playoffs from last year. Real quickly, moving to the Major League Baseball, the playoffs are just now kind of, you know, getting set, and, you know, obviously there's favorites in the Red Sox and the Cubs, but who do you guys, you know, possibly see coming out of the 2 leagues? Greg?
You know, a month ago I would have said Nationals. Nationals are looking really beat up. They're out Strasburg, who's a fantastic pitcher, but they're out Strasburg. They're out Bryce Harper. I don't see them beating the Dodgers without those players in hand. I got to say I like the Cubs. I think the Cubs have a good team. I don't see them running into a ton of trouble with the Giants. I could be wrong.
It's hard to bet against a 100-game winner.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. Braxton?
Yeah, I feel the same way. You know, the Cubs are really good, but I got to go against them. Seems like every year when you get to this time of year, everybody wants to make their picks and everything, you know, but it's just the 100-game winners, the best record in the majors, just never seems to pan out. The Cardinals last year, I think I found a stat somewhere. Since 1990, only 2 teams with the best record in the majors have ever won the World Series.
Well, you know, you get wore down. You know, 180-some games, being excellent that long, it's hard.
Yeah, but they've got what it takes. They're not hurt really at all. They can make a deep run, but right now I'm going with the Red Sox. They're the hottest team right now, other than the Mets. Their offense is just phenomenal.
Oh yeah.
And then their defense is just really good too. Yesterday they had several plays that should not have been made, but somehow they made them. So I would go with the Red Sox for now.
Yeah, I'd like the youth movement for the Red Sox. Sam?
Yeah, I think I like the Red Sox as well. At the beginning of the season, I probably would have gone with the Cubs, but the Red Sox have really impressed me. I mean, you've got such a potent offense, and then you've got 2, maybe even 3 candidates for MVP there. You know, David Ortiz. It's his last season, and he's playing like he's 25 years old, you know, but
are we exactly sure how old David Ortiz is?
You know, I'm not really.
There was a dispute. I think he might be like 43.
Yeah,
but
anyway,
not to interrupt.
But in the NL, I do like the Cubs to eventually come out of the NL in the big game. But I do think the Giants are going to give them some trouble. I think if the Giants can get out of the wild card and they'll play the Cubs first round. Granted, the Cubs do have home field advantage throughout the NL side of the bracket. I think the Giants, it's an even year, like Braxton was saying earlier. I think they can definitely give them some trouble.
Yeah, and it's proved the past couple of years it's so difficult, even for a good team. As far it's been the National League's been stuck because the American League in the All-Star game wins every year.
Yeah,
it's really proved to be very difficult to come back and win on the other team's field.
I know, definitely. It'll most definitely be an exciting playoffs, and we'll see how it plays out.
My favorite time
I'm sure
of year.
we'll recap, see who possibly made the correct prediction, or if any of us made
Well,
the correct
no,
prediction.
it's probably not.
Probably not. But moving on, every week we take you into our own fantasy football league with everyone here involved with the show. And right now we're going to take a peek at what we've got going so far this season. And right now it looks like Greg is losing, surprisingly, because the 3-0 Greg is losing to Joe Beretti 118 to 87. Definitely, that's a surprise. Jack, he is playing myself, and I had some issues with people on buys and also a late scratch from Eric Decker. I have Odell Beckham to play, so hopefully I'll be able to make up that deficit. Carlin and Rob, looks like Carlin is most likely going to finish that matchup out with a big win over Merrill Reese's Pieces. That's my favorite name in the league, by the way. And Sam, you were putting it too.
That's got to be the biggest deficit we've had.
You
so
tripled.
far.
Yeah,
I mean, that's ridiculous.
Yeah.
But moving on to the individual matchups, and here we have Rob and was that Carlin?
Yeah, Carlin.
Rob and Carlin, and again 96 to 58. Taking a further look at that, guys. What do you think was the difference maker here?
Obviously, Ben Roethlisberger, I think, came out last night, had a really good game.
Well, Rob has a bunch of zeros up there.
Well, there's that.
Yeah, I mean, and that too. Charles
and
Sims,
then
DeAndre
Cam
Hopkins.
is really letting down Rob this year.
Yeah, really so far, and Cam might not even play next week, so we might want to let him know that Derek Anderson might be the play if he wants to play a Panther. But yeah, definitely the two goose eggs up there really hurt him. And on the other side, you just mentioned Ben Roethlisberger, 34 points. The guy had a monster game. I think he threw for 4 or 5 touchdowns. Yeah. So that's a terrific game. Moving on to the next matchup. And this was Greg. And Greg, again, 3-0 heading into this game, and just kind of, I guess, just one of those weeks, right? So,
I had a couple players on bye. I had a New England kicker who got negative points for me. It was just, and Groskowski. He normally he does pretty darn good, but this week he. Not so much. So anyway.
Well, you ran into a buzzsaw here in Joey, at least for this week, because Julio, he had him 36 points. The guy caught for like 300 yards. He also had A.J. Green, who was a monster. He had 23 fantasy points. And Blake Bortles played definitely above the status quo. He had 25. So I think you'll get back to your winning ways, though, because you're very attentive to your lineup, which in fantasy football is something that is very critical and not something everyone does.
Yeah,
so I think you'll be fine after this week. Moving on to the next game. And here is Sam and Adam Wittens.
You can't call this a game.
Yeah, exactly. 120 to 40. Sam, how'd you do it?
I had Aaron Rodgers on bye this week, so I just went up and picked up Kirk Cousins, and he put up some solid numbers for me, but this feels good. This will be my first win, hopefully. I don't see how I could lose at this point, unless Adrian Peterson comes back off of the injured reserve.
80 points.
Yeah. Well,
so this feels good to get the first win under my belt. I got some guys coming back next week off of bye and then off of suspension. So
we were just
Patriots lineups coming back.
So
just talking about being attentive to your lineup. I don't necessarily feel like Adam Witten. He has bigger fish to fry. I understand.
Yeah.
He's got like 2 guys right now in his active lineup that's already ruled out. You already mentioned.
Yeah.
Adrian Peterson is, on injury reserve on the IR list.
Isn't he done for the season though?
Well. for all intents and purposes, but he's currently listed on the IR list. But definitely a huge game there from Sam. And moving on to our last matchup, and this was my matchup, and 88-52 currently. I have an outside shot at beating Jack if Julio Jones, Odell Beckham has just a crazy game. But I was saying before the show, I had kind of a conundrum at the tight end position this week. I had one of my tight ends were on a bye, and the other one was ruled out. I didn't want to drop anyone because I liked who I had at that position. So I was like, well, I'll just eat one, at the tight end position. And then Eric Decker was a late scratch. So currently to play Odell Beckham and Blair Walsh. Does anyone think I even have a chance? I don't think I do.
Well, does Jack even have anybody playing tonight?
He doesn't. So his final scoreline will be 88. So
well, if for some reason the Vikings D just collapses, that, as we've seen so far, they're elite. I don't see that happening. But Odell could pull off 20-some points, and maybe Blair Walsh has 7 field goals.
Hey, maybe if he scores 21 unanswered, I'll have a chance. But we'll see. But guys, that wraps up fantasy football for this week, and that's all the time we have on the program. Thanks for watching, and don't forget to follow App TV on Twitter and Instagram, and like us on Facebook to find updates about new episodes and shows. We'll see you here next week at the same time for a new edition of Sports Bar. I'm Travis Stanley, and for all of us here at Sports Bar, good night.